Hi, this is Elliot with the Untangled Essence of the Truth, and right now let's talk about drugs and the Bible and the war on drugs. First of all, drugs in the Bible are not very much of a theme in the Bible. Don't touch the oil or the wine. In those times, wine was, or don't tarry too long at the wine trough. There was there's obviously a gist of moderation with wine in the Bible, that wine's okay within moderation, or alcohol. Back in those days, that was kind of a necessity like food is now, because, and clearly, maybe I'm a little fat, clearly we can overdo it with food too, right? Wine in particular back then was often mixed with water from a local stream or a water hole, like an oasis in the desert or something like that, and often there'd be bacteria in that water. And by mixing in a little bit of water with the wine with the water, it would disinfect. The alcohol could disinfect the bacteria in the water, and actually was a factor for health. So like I said, it was kind of a necessity back then, especially depending on the cleanliness in the water supply. Talking about marijuana now, there is something that's sometimes referred to in Genesis 1:29. God said, "Look, I've given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. I have given every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry around the ground, everything that has life." And that's what happened. So basically, seed-bearing plants, poppy seeds are good on bread, right? And certainly cannabis, marijuana seeds are a food source, and certainly the hemp is, it's in terms of usefulness, the hemp plant has been demonstrated to be the most useful plant known to man. Everything from rope and cannabis and cloth and paper to now it's the most ethanol, the best source of ethanol per acre of land. So in terms of populations that challenge the Earth's ability to produce enough food, prohibition of that plant is certainly not a good thing. Now, in terms of abuse of drugs, what seems to have happened now, we hear the horror stories of, oh my God, somebody's addicted to this or addicted to that. Well, you know what? The number one addictive thing right now is the prescription medications coming from the doctors. Particularly the opium-derived products, everything from OxyContin, hydrocodone, you name it. There's a plethora of names in that realm, and a lot of the newer ones are actually stronger than heroin injected directly into the vein. So, half the USA is on something, and it's mostly opium. Is that why we're at war in Afghanistan? Well, Pat Tillman the football player was going to come back to the U.S. and tell everyone, and then he got 3 shots to the head independently fired by snipers at the same time while he was in full uniform. So, somebody called a hit on that man, and then there's all kinds of stories out of CIA and ATF with Fast and Furious and Mina Airport with the Iran-Contra thing, the Reagan, the third leg that's not talked about in mainstream as much on that was that cocaine was being run into Mina Airport to generate the cash, to buy the guns, to ship to Iran through Israel to get the hostages free, and that was how Reagan got elected. So, and also, at the same time is associated in conspiracy forms with the assassination of John Lennon. So the point of all that is the war on drugs is really a divisive way to basically conquer the world. It's more like a military mantra to go in and produce money from a plant that grows, sort of, and gosh, what's marijuana cost now? Probably $400-$600 an ounce. Well, that's getting pretty close to gold, and it grows. It grows right out of the ground. So if you could grow a crop that produces more cash than gold and replenishes every spring, so you don't have to dig for it, you just farm it, and then you can use it as an excuse to kill anyone you want to. Look what's happening in Mexico. My God, it defies common sense. It really does. The rest of the Bible I'm reading here on Wiki, for example, many Christian denominations disapprove of the use of most illicit drugs. There are some suggestions in the Bible that refer to it, say one person, another person, but there's nothing really specific other than what I quoted there about plants that seed, and the balance of moderation with wine. Well, okay, if somebody has some kind of terminal disease or a major injury, maybe a painkiller is a good thing for healing their body, but it so often turns into an addiction, and realize that the doctors and the medical establishment have a financial interest in the person not getting well, but continuing to pay for that drug and pay for those doctor visits to monitor the vitals and make sure all the safety checks are in place. So basically, they don't want you well, they want you on the drugs that are prescribed. Not only does the established globalist powers gain from it through big pharma and big food and big industry like that, the military also benefits from it. The last person that is really going to benefit from drug consumption is you. Like I said, maybe if it's a severe injury and a short time like that, or one glass of wine in moderation. All things in moderation, just not to excess, right? Speaking of drugs, there's also a strong connection to spirituality about drugs. People searching for drugs, I'm searching for God. There's many that talk about LSD and DMT and even marijuana hallucinogens, primarily to explore and search for God. What I'd say to that is, I never felt anything like that with any drugs when I was in college and trying that stuff out. The one concert I can remember long ago where I did some LSD, it was scary. It was sort of like I felt opened up to demons that could have come in, and I was thankful there were none around, but it just had my brain open in a way that it just didn't feel natural to have it open that way, and it felt vulnerable. And so I would recommend strongly against using drugs to find God. You're liable to find the devil instead. And use your brain, search for the truth. And that's what I'm here for, is untangling the essence of the truth in the Bible and all things about life. Thank you.